Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another 1000 Gamerscore report, and today we're talking about Diablo 4. This is a game that really doesn't need much of an introduction. You are most likely familiar with it and the franchise, the original, maybe, action RPG dating back to that original Diablo game way back when, and now we're all the way up to the 4th numbered installation in the series. Diablo 4 has 25 total achievements for 1000 Gamerscore. At the time of this video, this is all that you can get. Just the base game, just that 1000 Gamerscore. There's no DLC. However, very soon, within a month or two of this video, there will be the first paid DLC coming for Diablo 4, and almost guaranteed it is going to have additional achievements. So this review covers the base game of Diablo 4, and I will likely do a follow-up video for the achievements for that expansion once it's released and once I've unlocked them all. Total time to get that 1000 Gamerscore, I'm going to say about 50 hours, but that's got a pretty wide range margin of error on it, depending on how dedicated you are, how serious you grind, or how casual and careful you are. It is, without a doubt, way easier, way less time required than Diablo 2 Resurrected, for example, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail as we go through here. What's required to get that 1000 Gamerscore? You need to play through the story once, finish the story one time, and then after that, you can always choose to skip the story. But there is an achievement associated with completing the story the first time. Then you need to play each of the 5 classes that are available in the base game. And you don't need to play them much. There's an achievement for each class to do a certain amount of thing. Get a certain amount of kills with elemental spells for the mage, and so on for the other classes. But they're pretty quick and pretty easy. So you don't need to put a lot of time. Maybe 2 hours or so into each class is probably more than enough to get those achievements. Then you do need to take one of those characters all the way up to level 100. And at launch, that was a more intimidating prospect. That was dozens of hours maybe, but now the XP required has been reduced. The way to get XP and to level has been increased. So it's probably a 10-hour maybe grind to get there. It can be way less for the power gamers, and it might be a little bit more than that if you're playing solo, if you're playing your first time, to get one of those characters to level 100, and there are several achievements that you'll get on the way to doing that. Online play is required for these achievements. In fact, it's always required to even play Diablo 4. As far as I know, there's not even an offline mode. I think D2R has one, and this one might not at all, which is disappointing. But even worse than that is the requirement to engage in PvP online in order to unlock all the achievements. Specifically, there's the Master Combatant achievement, 50 Gamerscore for getting 5 PvP kills. In Diablo 4, there are zones, I think there's 2 of them, where if you enter in there, you're basically consenting to PvP, and you need to kill 5 players in those zones in order to unlock the achievement. And that's super unfortunate. Even if, obviously, if you're playing a hardcore character, forget it, right? If you're going in there, only people who really know what they're doing are going to be there. If you're playing on a normal character, it's not a big deal to die, so it still feels like you're griefing, right? If you go in there, you're either going to find people who live in there and are just going to stomp you, or you're going to happen onto somebody who's trying to complete a quest or who's vastly underleveled or underpowered, and you're just going to stomp them. And both cases feel really bad. And then on top of that, you need to find somebody. Like, there's tons of times where you can go into these zones and wander around and nobody's there. Now, Diablo 4 is a thriving game. There's lots of people playing, so I'm not worried about being locked out of this achievement at all. Like some other games that require you to go online and engage with other people. As those games age, it's going to be really tough to find people. This probably doesn't have that. But it's still not great that you need to be able to find people numerous times in these limited PvP zones and then be able to kill them when there's no real level or matchmaking or anything like that going on. There are collectibles in Diablo 4. Mostly it's finding these altars of Lilith scattered around the overworld that you find them, and then they increase your character's stats, which is great, but there's no achievements tied to the collectibles, so you can pretty much skip them if you're just going for achievements. what's the hardest achievement in Diablo 4? I'm going to go with two of them here. First is that Master Combatant, the PvP achievement that I just talked about. Again, you have to find somebody in these zones and be able to kill them and do it 5 times is tough to do. And then the other one for quote-unquote solo play, there is no solo play in Diablo 4, but it's End of the First Mother. This is 100 gamer score. It's a big one, and it's to defeat the Echo of Lilith, the Uber Lilith, if you will. This is a super frustrating fight. It is a very long, complex fight, and it is just riddled with one-shot mechanics. Now, they have revised that fight since launch a number of times, and so the one-shot mechanics might be less prevalent now. They might be a little bit easier now, but it's still a really difficult fight. You basically need a maxed out character, perfectly crafted build in order to do this fight, which can increase the time that it takes for your playthrough by dozens of hours. Now, the one caveat that I'll say, for both of those achievements, for the PvP and for the Uber Lilith, you could probably get by with boosting the achievement. You can ask somebody to trade the kills with you to give you a Lilith carry, and all you'll need to do is probably offer them some gold in game, a couple of million gold, which you can get pretty easily, and you should be able to short circuit those otherwise daunting achievements. So I would recommend going that route, and if you're able to do that, it's going to lower the difficulty pretty greatly. And if you're not able to do that, again, those two raise the difficulty bar a whole lot. For the most annoying achievement, I'm going to select True Perseverance. This is 75 gamer score to reach level 50 with a hardcore character. And hardcore characters, if they die, they die. Now, again, I will say, comparing this to Diablo 2, for example, this is way easier. First, it's a lot harder to die in Diablo 4 than it is in Diablo 2. You don't have those like special enhancement combinations on a boss character or an elite mob that can like one-shot you, like the lightning enchanted ghosts and all the crazy stuff where it's like, they entered the screen and hit me in one shot and I died, right? Those are pretty rare in the leveling process for Diablo 4. When you get to the upper levels, that can happen. But the other good thing here is you only need to get to level 50. So you can stay in World Tier 1 to start the process, and then World Tier 2, those are kind of like the difficulty modes to get to level 50 without really stretching yourself too thin or putting yourself into too many dangerous situations. While leveling my hardcore character to 50, there were maybe 2 times where I felt like I was in actual danger, or like, oh, things could go wrong here and I could die. And in both cases, it never got so bad. I still had an ace up my sleeve. There are escape mechanics and dodges and movement freedom abilities that these characters have. And I always had that one like still in my back pocket. I still had that last emergency pull that I never needed to use in order to like save myself and then try to teleport out or town portal out of a really bad situation. So a couple of close calls, a couple of tense moments, which I think is the point of a hardcore character, right? You get to dip your toe into this side of the game that you otherwise might not try. Even if you lose the character, you're losing 10 hours at most, maybe. You can probably get this in much less than that. Again, if you're saving this, which I recommend, as your last achievement, you'll have a good understanding of the game. Getting to level 50 is not that big of a deal. And on a hardcore character, just adds a little bit of extra spice to the run. Taking all of that into consideration, my final score for the achievements in Diablo 4, it's a 5 out of 10. And I'm not thrilled to be giving it that score, but I have to really penalize it for the forced PvP. I hate forced PvP in a non-PvP based game, right? There's no need for this achievement to be there. You can have it be one kill. You can have it survive in the PvP zone for a certain amount of time. And now you're not locked to anybody being able to be there or engaging in it or griefing somebody or getting griefed, right? You could do this and still engage in the PvP system and have it be way less of a burden, way less of a chance to fail. If this game's 2 years old down the road, are you gonna find people to do this? I don't know. I really hate when games do this and they make it an achievement and then they do the achievement in kind of the worst way possible for what is otherwise an interesting mechanic. You could have had it be, there's blood shards that you farm the PvE monsters in the area to collect the blood shards, and then you have to turn them in at these altars to convert them. just make me do 10,000 of those or something where I can still do it. And if I don't get ganked or if there's nobody in the zone, then great. I still engaged with the mechanic and I won and I got the achievement and I didn't have to rely on somebody else or ruin somebody else's day in order to get the achievement. So big penalty there. Otherwise, these aren't that bad. Diablo 2 for me, that's one I'm probably never going to get the 1,000 gamer score on because of get a hardcore character to level 99. That's just insane. Nothing like that here, just some annoyances, a little bit of difficulty spikes. You might need a carry for Uber Lilith, but if you focus on a dedicated build, you can absolutely do it. It just ups the play time dramatically. So that's going to wrap up this 1,000 gamer score report. Good luck. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.